Hello, I'm William Michael of the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, and today I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about a topic that has come up again and again in my interaction with homeschooling parents that I'd like to provide a remedy for. It's hard for me to communicate just how deeply modern education has affected the way we think about learning and studying and how we think about our children's education and so on. It's really hard because we've all been immersed in this K-12 modern school culture. Most of us have grown up attending those schools, and it's hard for us to think of anything outside of that box of the modern grade school. And yet, our society is filled with problems in the progress and development of students and children, and we blame the children. We look at children. I posted a comment this week on social media about how we've come to the point where we are labeling children as disabled because they don't succeed in the school system, when the school system is entirely artificial and is only not even 200 years old, never before used in human history. And when we find that the school system doesn't produce good results in all the kids, we actually tell the children that they have some kind of biological personal disability. That's how crazy we've become with taking this modern education system for granted. We're actually using it to define what's natural in human development and learning. And it's just nuts when you realize how recently the K-12 school model has been developed. It's gotten so deep into our thinking and our experience that it's hard for us to have any thoughts that aren't influenced by that. And one particular issue that comes up frequently with homeschooling parents that I communicate with is related to this. And I'd like to try to help homeschool parents get these thoughts out of their minds and free themselves from the negative effects that these thoughts have. And there's one topic in particular that I'd like to talk about. It's very common for me when new families come into the academy for the parents. It's always the parents. It's rarely the students. It's usually the parents. The parents will come in and they will be stressed about their initial enrollment, stressed about which courses to choose, stressed about what activities are required, what kind of assessment there is, all of these different concerns because their children are not good at this and not good at that, and they're weak in this and they're deficient in that. They don't know how to type well. They've never worked on a computer before. They don't know how to write well. They've never participated in a video class meeting before. They don't know how to do this. They don't know how to do that. And so the parents are all concerned that they avoid allowing their child into anything that he or she is not skilled at, is not, quote unquote, ready for, and so on. And it's hard for me to tell the parents that they should not be thinking like this. They shouldn't think like this. But I think I know why they do. And it's because in the modern school system, the minute that a student enrolls in a school and begins to study, they begin being graded. They begin being graded and evaluated on their activities, on their skills, and those grades are somewhat permanent. They get graded, they get sorted, they get classed, they get divided into different levels. And there's all of these problems that develop when a student gets off to a slow start, or when a student enters into this system and lacks some skills or lacks some knowledge that the school at that level takes for granted. And again, the school is completely artificial, and it acts as though everyone should come in with a certain level of ability when there's no reason for that. And so parents are afraid, I think, to get kids started because they're afraid that they're going to start being graded and penalized for not being good at certain things. So they're afraid For example, to enter a student into our Aesop's Fables course because the kids have to type written assignments, and their children are not good at typing or not good at writing, so they're afraid to sign up for the course because the first assignment the student submits is going to look like a chicken broke loose on the paper. And again, the concern that the parents have is they're expecting the immediate grading of the child. And that comes from modern school. That comes from the modern school system. In the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, our system doesn't work like that. So if a student comes into, let's say, the Aesop's Fables course, and the student, I don't care if the kid's 14 years old, for whatever reason, he never learned to type well, or he never had a composition course. There's all sorts of problems, and I'm happy that we're able to help eliminate them. But a student may come in completely unprepared or unfamiliar with any sort of, typing or written assignments that are graded by others. He may have just been immersed in a homeschool environment where mom did whatever she wanted, and now all of a sudden he's subject to this third-party evaluation. And so the parents are nervous and stressed, and that student completes the first assignment, which is a good thing. And it just looks like the printer exploded on the paper. What I try to tell the parents is, this is how we learn to do these things. I'm a teacher. When I look at a student with a problem, I immediately begin thinking how we're going to fix this problem. I'm not recruiting elite students. I'm not one of these modern fake schools that has to recruit good students to make the school look good. I'm happy to start with kids who don't know what they're doing and who need help because we can actually help them. So when I see a student who can't write a complete sentence, or who can't type, or who can't spell, as a teacher, I immediately see things that student has to work on. And fortunately for us, in the academy, we have courses that deal with all of these different problems. So I can just tell a parent, you need to sign this kid up for our English composition course. You need to get this kid in our elementary grammar course. You need to use one of these free accounts we have with typing.com and let the kid learn to do some typing exercises and develop his ability to type. So when I see the problems that the kids come into the academy with, I just immediately begin diagnosing what the problems are and recommending remedies for them. So what I want is for the students to just get started. I want the students to get started because the program that we run is not a modern school. We're not giving kids grades and sending kids home with report cards and labels. Our program allows for the kids to develop at their own pace, to constantly improve themselves, to constantly resubmit work, to constantly retake assessments, and so on, and gain mastery at their own pace. And no matter how often I communicate this and explain this to parents, they'll nod and say they understand itself. I really don't think parents understand just how deeply influenced their thoughts of schooling are because of modern education. And we have to just get out of that. There's none of this negative judging and grading of children. We're only concerned with helping them to get better. We've got all of the means available to us to help them get better at every different skill, every different subject area. But the parents have to allow the kids to get started. They have to allow them to enter into unfamiliar circumstances and learn how to do things they don't yet know how to do. We understand that students are coming to learn in the academy, and we expect to see problems in their work, and we also take it upon ourselves to try and remedy those problems and offer solutions to help those kids learn these different things. For example, in our English composition course, one of the first lessons that the kids learn teaches them that the only way to become good at writing is by writing. And so you've got to be willing to just get your first assignment started, because that begins the learning process. That's where experience in writing comes from. When you start writing and you gain that experience, now all of a sudden you can understand what the lessons are talking about because they're directing you in that experience. And it's just this developmental process where someone has to get into it and get started in order to learn. Now, here's the danger that I especially want parents to beware of. One of the problems in modern schooling is that it's become sort of a contest where everyone is competing against each other. Kids are competing to see who wins this award or who wins this honor or who gets this scholarship and so on. And pride can make people afraid to enter into any situation that they're not already good at. It's like an overweight person who doesn't want to go to the gym because he's going to be embarrassed if people see him and he's overweight. So he actually starts trying to lose weight first before he goes to the gym rather than use the gym as the means of losing weight. So you see this mentality is true in school and learning as well. Parents will often be afraid if their children don't get the highest standardized test scores, if they're not the star of the class, if they don't impress from day one. And so they'll hold the children out of things, waiting for a day when the child is impressive. And that's just a completely backwards way of thinking, because the best way for a student to learn is to be pushed into the activities and made to start to humble himself, to take risks, to get into new things, and trust. This is the key, to trust that, when we work with these students, we're not like modern school teachers who just give grades and sort kids out. We're going to help the kids develop and grow. We're going to work patiently. We're going to suggest improvements. We're going to grade their work, understanding that they're just getting started. So, for example, when I get a first assignment from a student, usually in a course like Aesop's Fables, they may not be able to type well, they may not have nice handwriting, they may not be able to write a complete sentence, they may have no clue what they're doing. And when I see that first assignment, I just take it as our first conversation. It's our first interaction. And so I may give the student a passing grade, even though it's terrible. I may give him a passing grade with some suggestions to work on when he gets started with the next assignment. And then in the next assignment, I'll look for some progress in the things that I mentioned. And then after we get 5, 6, 7 assignments in, I'll start to get stricter with assessment. And by the time the students are into it, after a few lessons, they understand the standards and they get used to the activity, they gain experience, and they're off. And it's not a big deal. But parents have to understand that that's how we work things in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. We're willing to develop and help these kids. We know that homeschooling is very difficult, and I'm not one who believes in all of the the flowery descriptions of homeschooling. I know what homeschooling is really like because I know the families behind the scenes. I know that many families struggle very greatly with figuring out how to homeschool, getting everything done in homeschooling, and most kids usually have huge gaps in their learning and skills. I understand that, and I commend parents for being willing to undertake the work of homeschooling, which interestingly ties into this whole subject, because what I'm telling you your children need to do is what you did in choosing to homeschool. You chose to take a step, not knowing what exactly you needed to do, and you're learning as you go. You're learning right now, watching this video. You're learning as you go, and this is what I'm talking about. We're able and willing to help students and parents learn and develop over time. I understand that kids come in, they've got all kinds of needs. Some kids are very strong in some areas, weak in other areas. We understand that, and it's not a problem. Our program is self-paced. We work with individual students to help them improve themselves little by little, and after a little while, these initial troubles go away. Why? Because we just push the kids out of the nest and make them, flap their wings, and we provide them with help, and we get them going and give them the chance to do these things rather than wait and wait and wait or avoid things that they're not good at. that stressful, bullying, judgmental, competitive, selfishly competitive modern school environment is not present in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. We're sincerely willing and able to help students develop all of their skills, whether it's simple things like spelling and handwriting and typing, all the way up to reasoning and composition, standardized test preparation, and so on. So don't be afraid to let the kids get started. Don't be afraid to let them try something that they're not already good at. We understand that they're not going to be good at everything, and you'll see that we evaluate them fairly and patiently and positively, helping them to improve one lesson at a time. So I wanted to communicate that because I get it so much from parents. I see so much hesitation, so much uncertainty, so much anxiety about getting the kids in certain classes, not placing them too high in a class because, God forbid, they get a bad grade, right? Well, that's not how the Classical Liberal Arts Academy works. And so we need to stop thinking like that. We need to stop putting these restrictions on our kids because we're making the problems worse when we do that. We're not solving those problems. So let the kids get started. Encourage them to enter into unfamiliar territory. Encourage them to take on challenges that they're not comfortable with and they're not already good at. And understand that we're excited to see them do that, and we'll help them along. For example, my live classes. After a few classes, the kids will get used to the routine, and they'll start to learn how to participate. I don't expect them to come in knowing how to do it, and I don't put any pressure on them to do so because class attendance and participation aren't graded as they are in modern schools, which is ridiculous. So trust that in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, we're here to help. We're not judging and grading kids. We're not an inspection, agency that's just labeling children and evaluating them. We're looking for their problems. We're not dumb. We're aware and can see very easily when students lack skills and knowledge in different areas. But as soon as we see that, we're going to begin recommending ways to remedy those problems. That's one of the benefits of offering enrollment subscription plans, is that because the monthly payment is just fixed, no matter what a student does, I can recommend additional courses, and it doesn't cost parents anything more to add courses that are recommended. That's one of the reasons I actually prefer, as a teacher, to have my students enrolled with a subscription plan. So I can make recommendations, and I don't have to worry about what Tommy's parents can afford or can't afford. I can just give the recommendations that are the best for him, regardless of finances, because there's just a fixed enrollment subscription rate for everybody. So I just want to encourage Catholic homeschool parents that you don't need to hide weaknesses. You don't need to be embarrassed of gaps in your children's learning. You need to understand that we're teachers, but we're also homeschooling parents, and we have all the same issues, same problems, same challenges. Our kids are all different, on and on. We understand all of that. You need to trust that you're going to find positive help in the academy, and you shouldn't be afraid to give your kids some encouragement to try some new things, because you'll see that's how we learn things, by taking risks, entering into unfamiliar subjects, starting to practice things that require skills we don't have, and just giving ourselves time to develop experience and gain those skills with the help and encouragement of real teachers who are positive in their teaching and actually concerned about helping students learn, not just assigning grades and sorting kids. So I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions about these things, please get in touch. My email address is simply mail@classicalliberalarts.com. You can schedule a consultation or a phone call with me if you ever want to get into a deeper discussion and actually set some time aside for that, or just email any questions you have. Please take some time to share these videos with any friends or relatives who homeschool, because what we offer you, we offer everyone, and we'd like others to know about it, and the best way for others to learn about it is through word-of-mouth references. So please do us a favor and help others to learn about the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. I hope that's helpful. God bless.